Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to part 5 of how to make a photography website using WordPress and Elementor. So in the previous videos I've shown you how to set up WordPress, I've shown you how to get your domain name, your web hosting, I've shown you how to set up your theme, and shown you some very useful plugins to install. And in the last video I showed you how to set up your header and your footer across the site. So in today's video we're going to look at the page builder itself, so how you can then build up individual pages, all the widgets and options you have available to you, and also some very useful templates. Now I showed you in a previous video the Envato template, but there's a whole bunch of others that you can use too. And not only do they come with good templates, they also come with some extra widgets. Down here on the left panel are the widgets and sections and things that you can use to build up your page. Elementor Pro comes with a good selection, but there are also some other plugins that you can use to get more. So there are several, and I'll put a list of all of them down in the description below. But the two main ones, I think the two really good ones, I personally think, and I use myself a lot, are Essential Add-ons and Royal Add-ons, or Royal Elementor as it's called. And there's one other useful one down here as well called Jet Tabs. Now this is specifically for inserting really nice looking tabs, and I'll show you that maybe a bit later. It has a few widgets, 4 to be exact, but they're really good, and they're actually better than the tab widgets in Elementor and even in the Essential Add-ons too. So that's why I use this one. Again, all the links will be down in the description below. So to start building your page, simply come into the WordPress dashboard, come over on the left and click Pages to bring up a list of all the pages that you've created. Now in the previous video I showed you how it's useful to create just the page itself, so you can create your menu and build a structure for your site. And then you come in and do the individual pages. So you come down here, find the page that you want to start working on. So in this case we're going to look at the home page, and you can, if you click Edit takes you to the main WordPress edit page, like so. If you haven't already set it to edit in Elementor, you'll find a button up here which says Edit with Elementor. If you've already set it to do that, then this will be blank and you'll have this button here, because your page is already set up to be edited in Elementor itself. So you can simply click that and then click this button again, or you can also go straight to the Elementor editor by simply hovering over the page like we did earlier. Instead of going to edit, go straight to Edit with Elementor, and that will open that page directly into the Elementor editor. And that's where we are now. So to start your page, by default it usually opens up with the name of the page. So the name of the page here is home page, and it shows it up here. If you want to get rid of that, then what you can do is come down here to Settings, and here you've got Page Layout. Default will be the default layout of your theme. So if you're not using the Elementor Hello theme, if you're using another theme, then that theme will have its default page layout, and it will use that. In this case, because I've got the Elementor Hello theme, it's using the default Elementor layout page, which you can actually change. If you come up here to here and to Site Settings, then you can come down here to Layout, and here you can set the layout, and the default page layout will be the theme, so the Elementor theme. So you get the choice of the theme, the Elementor canvas, or the Elementor full width, and I'll show you both of those right now. So to get back, we just simply click cross, and that takes us back to our Elementor editor. So back here in Settings, the two main extra page layouts you also have theme down here. So theme would, if your default is not set to theme, then you can set it to theme here on this particular page. So here you can set it on a page by page basis. The default will set it to every page unless you change it otherwise here. So you've got Elementor Canvas. Now if we select Elementor Canvas, you'll see what happens. Your page looks like this. Essentially what it does is it gives you a completely blank canvas, and it removes the headers and footers and any global settings that you've applied to the site. It removes all of those from that page and gives you a completely blank page. So this is quite useful if you want to create maybe a specific landing page that doesn't have the headers and footers and everything for the rest of your site, but it's no good as a general page, of course. So the other option, and this is the option I generally use, is Elementor Full Width. So let's see how that looks. So Elementor Full Width removes that text up there, so it removes the page title from there and keeps your header and your footer and everything else, and then gives you a full width blank canvas to work with. So that's the one I generally use because I want to use the full width of the page. If you want to use one of the templates to get started, to build up your page, or even to help you get started and save yourself a lot of time, then the way that you do that is here. A fresh page has this blank section here that says drag widget here for the widgets. We'll go into that in a minute. But it also gives you the option to insert a template. Here, these are the Elementor templates. So if we click this, we can open here. These are all the Elementor page templates available to you if you're using Elementor Pro. You've also got a section here for blocks. So rather than insert a whole page, you can just insert blocks. So depending on what if you want to insert a call to action block, for example, or a contact block or something like that. So you've got these options here. My templates are the ones that you save yourself. Again, we'll look at that a little bit later in this video. We close this. I showed you earlier the green button is the Envato Elementor template. So in this case, the kit is a whole site that we've installed. For example, we've chosen it from the free kits or the premium kits, and you've installed that kit. Then what you can do is go view install kit and select the page that you want to insert as your template to get you started. Again, just like the other one, you've got options also for blocks. Again, we'll look at this in another video. Close that. Or you've got Templately is part of the Essential Add-ons plugin. So if you install that, you can also set up to install Templately. Now Templately, they have some fantastic templates really. There's a lot of good ones available for free, but the ones that say Pro obviously are the ones then you have to upgrade and pay for the Pro version of the plugin. Like anything, of course, you pay, you get much more options, much better options, but still the starter ones that are free are still very good. There's still a lot of very good options in the free version. So whichever you decide to take, start with the free, of course, and look through, and if you find something within the free options, then fantastic. If you find something within the Pro options which you really like, then consider upgrading. So just like with Envato, you can search for pages, you can search for packs, so whole websites, blocks, or again the templates here are the ones that you've got saved, so it shows you these two. So if you want to search for a page, for example, you've got starter, all of these are for free, or you've got Pro, these are the paid ones, or you can search all. So sometimes it's worth, if you want to filter by starter, for example, then type in photography, and here are all the options available that are for free, or you can see what Pro ones are available like this, or all of them. So if you found a page here that suits, then you just simply click to insert that in and get yourself started. It doesn't have to necessarily be a photography page. I often will search for travel website templates, and they often work nicely too. So it doesn't have to be If you don't find anything under photography, then search under travel, or just search all pages. Same thing for the Royal Elementor. So it's good to have both, and each one has a great range of different templates. So it's the same thing there. You've got mixed, free, or premium. So again, premium ones are paid, and you've got a choice of pages or blocks to get yourself started. Now, when you use a template, you don't have to use the template exactly where it is. You can insert that template and use that as a basis. Now you can get rid of parts of the template. Some sections you can get rid of, other sections you can modify. You can change colors, change images, even change the layout. Once you know how to use Elementor, the template can simply be a starting point. Or you can build your page completely by yourself from a blank canvas. So let's start that now. So you see here that you have this section here that says drag widget here. So that's where you get started. And basically you can take any of these widgets, drag it across. So if we take, for example, a heading widget, if we drag it across, it automatically creates a section and inserts it there for you. You can see there now in this blue section here, if we hover over it, it says edit section. This is your section, and then within that section you have your widget. So there are two bits, and if you just drag a widget straight into this area here, it automatically creates a section for you. If we get rid of that, or if you click this plus button, add new section. So here you can manually create a section, and you can create it with a structure of your own. So one single section, you can have 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, you can have columns offset like this. So you got your options basically. You can always change it afterwards, and I'll show you how we do that. So if we just select one single blank section, which we've got here. Okay, now if I want to change that, I can hover over this bit here and select the column, and if I right click that column, I can add a new column like so. And then, and I showed you this mostly when we were doing the headers as well, but I'll give a quick overview. In each section, when you create it like that, it's made it 50-50. But if you don't want that, if you want this to be 25 and this to be 75, you can do that like that. Then you can add another column if you want. And again, you could make that 110 perhaps. You could make that 140, and then this one would be 50 as such. Okay. Or you can delete like so. And you'll also see the option to duplicate. Now duplicate is no good if it's blank, but if you've got a column with something already created, and you've got all of the settings and everything done, you could duplicate that and then modify it. It saves you a lot of time. Okay, so here we go. Now when you click here, over here on the left, you've got the layout options. So the content width, so if you see here, the section stretches the full width of the page, and then within that your column is not quite full width, as you can see. So if we click that, you can see that it's boxed, and when it's boxed, that means that you set a width within the section itself, or you can go full width. And if you do that, it stretches the box inside the full width of the page. And what happens there is, of course, then when people are viewing on different screen sizes, what is in that box will automatically stretch to the width of the screen. So if people have smaller screens, it will be so much. If people have bigger screens, it will stretch to the bigger screen. So, and now this can be good or not. It can be good for photos, but if you've got box sections with text and things like that, what will happen there is that on the different screens, everything will adjust to fit the screen. So it can mess up the layout a little bit. Okay, so generally for box sections with text and information, things like that, I choose boxed. And then now you can manually set the width. So you can see here that I'm adjusting it like so. Or if you leave it like that, it's again set at default. And again, you do that in the site settings. So if we go in the site settings, and again we come down to layout, here is where we set the content width and the widget space. So this also is the space between the widgets, so you can set defaults for that. Typically it's set at 20 and it's set at 1300 or 1100, depending on how you want it. So you can come in here and you can choose that to be 1400 or 1500 or whatever. So basically what will happen is that any screens that are smaller, for example, than 1300, it will narrow, it will adjust. But any screens that are above 1300, then the content within that box will always stay at 1300. So that's good. That means then that on the larger screens it won't mess up your layout. So I think it's good to do that. And I typically set it at 1300. You can set it at 1400, 1100, whatever you want. But it basically contains that box. So you set that and update, and click close to go back to the editor. And there we have it. And again, as I say, if it's like this, it's default. But if in one section of your page you don't want it to be at the default, you want it to be smaller or bigger, then you can override the defaults by setting a custom width, just like this. Okay. Down here, column gaps. So this will adjust the gaps between the columns. Most of it's self-explanatory, so I won't talk too much about it. The height. Now, if you set it to default, it will adjust to the height of whatever's in the box. You can set it to fit to the screen, so it makes it full size like this. Or you can set a minimum height. So you can set, as it says, the height to a minimum. So if you set it to 600, for example, it will always be at 600 unless the content in your box pushes it down more. So it will be height longer as such. But if the content is below 600 pixels, then the box will always be at least 600 pixels. So if we clear that, then we set it default and it looks like this typically. So if we put this back to 500, for example, the one other useful thing to know here is the column position. That's the column here. You can set it typically to be in the middle, the top, or the bottom if we want to. And there's some other options like vertical align, overflow, things like that, which you can play around with. We wouldn't worry too much about it. The other thing that's useful here is HTML tag. So for the section, you can set a HTML tag to, it's a signal to search engines that section. It gives them an idea of what's in that section. So you can say, for example, in this case, it's going to be a header. So I can select it can be a header. If it's going to be a footer, if it's going to be the main part of your page, or an article, or just a section, or something like that, you can give some kind of indication. So I'll set that to be the header. So going back up here, once you've created a section, you've got a column here, you can then drag whatever widget you want into that column there within the section to start building your page. Now for this header, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a picture in the header. But I could just drag this one here. Yeah, but what I want this image to fill the section completely, and I want it to stretch to the full width of the screen. So no matter what screen people are looking on, I want it to stretch full width. So I don't want to put it in the box section here. And what I can do is go up here to edit section, come over to style and expand this area here, and now you've got a background option. Now here you can change, if you want, you can see that we can change the color of the background, various things like that. But what I want to do here is add an image. So let's add this image to begin with. Now you can see here it's added the image by default like this. And then I can come down here and choose my options. So I can choose the position of the image. I can choose how I want it to look. So if it scrolls like this. If it's fixed, then it typically stays fixed as I scroll the page. So you can choose that option or leave it at default. typically the default is that it scrolls. Repeat, now that's, and size. Now you can choose auto. That means that it will automatically size according to the screen size that it's being viewed on. Or you can choose cover. I like this one. This is my personal favorite because it will always cover the section itself. And it seems to be the best option. It's the most consistent option too. You can contain, so then that basically contains the image in its aspect ratio and its size. So you typically get like this, and by default it will repeat. So that's where the repeat section comes in. You can say no repeat, you can repeat X, repeat Y, or something like that. Typically no repeat is the best option if you want to have that. And then you can choose to position it in the center, but you'll end up, as I say, that's an option. But it's not the one I use. You can custom, so you can custom set the width accordingly, like this. Or, as I say, cover I find is the best one. And then here, once you've set that, you can select the position. So it can be top center, it can be bottom center, it can be center center, it can be center left or center right. Now that depends on the size of your image. If you've got a big panoramic, then it might move a bit left or right, but in this case my image fills the width nicely and there's no more adjustment to the left and right. But there is adjustment from the center, the top and the bottom. So choose the one that suits best. In this case the top center seems to work nicely. And so I'll leave it as default. Fine for me that it scrolls. You've got some scrolling effects if you want, so you can play around with things like that. You've got some mouse effects too, which you can turn on, but we won't go too much into that. All these things basically just have a play around with them and see what they do, and see what works best for you. Rather than just having an image, which is classic, you could choose, this option gives you a gradient. You could choose to insert a video and insert a video link here, or you can choose a slideshow. So then you can add multiple images in. So if we select this, let's say this one, and not that one, so I've already got that. Maybe this one, no, maybe this one, and this one. So let's just take a few for example, and click to create a new gallery. Now you can add captions in there. Captions are automatically inserted if they are in the image metadata as it is down here. If there's something, if there's a title or caption, if there's a caption already there, then it won't automatically be inserted. If that's blank, it won't be there. But it's not so important here because it's not going to be shown. It's more important if you've got a slideshow running where the captions are going to be visible on the page. In this case, it's not going to be visible. But I'll go more into setting up titles and meta titles and things in your images in another video. So then we insert the gallery. Again, you need to choose, you've got options for background position. So here, now the problem here is whatever you choose is going to be, bottom center for example, is going to affect all of the images. So if you've got an image that looks good aligned in the top and an image that looks good aligned in the bottom, well, you're going to have a problem. So you're going to have to choose one alignment and then choose images that fit that accordingly. So if we go center center, now let's look and see how it looks. Now you see, now the problem is that this image doesn't quite work in this format. This one does. It's aligned nicely in the middle. So does this one. This one doesn't. So what I can do is come here and edit, and I can remove this one. I can remove this one. I can go back to my gallery and maybe I can choose some different images. Let's choose these two. No, that one's too small. This one's big enough. maybe this one. Let's see how they look. Insert gallery. Now let's see how they look. So they fit a little better. So as I say, play around. That one doesn't fit again, so we'll come up here and I'll remove that. Down here you've got your slideshow options and infinite loop. You can turn it on or off. The duration of each slideshow, so you can adjust that. You can set the transition, how you want it to slide or fade. I personally think fade is better. I think sliding slideshows, when they slide like a carousel, makes you feel a bit dizzy when you're viewing it. So I also think the fade option is the best. Background size, again, let's select cover, but you've got the other options there, and the position as I've shown you. Lazy load, so this is a good option to have because it decreases page load times. Now, whether you choose a slideshow or whether you choose just a single image to be in your header, image size is really important. Now, if you want it to stretch full screen, then the image needs to be big enough. So if we come to my gallery, my media library section, and select this first image, you'll see down here on the right the dimensions. Now I've got it set at 2048 pixels on the longest side, so the width in this case, and I find that that's big enough to stretch to most screens. Anything smaller, people viewing on a high definition screen, is going to start to look blurry. So I find that this is the best option. You can go a little higher, 3000, but what you also need to be watchful of is the file size. So if the file size is too big, 2-3 meg, then it's going to be longer. It's going to increase your page load times, and the slower page loads put people off, because no one wants to be sitting waiting for a page to load, do they? And also the search engines, particularly Google, doesn't like it if your pages are too big. So now the problem with photography websites, we want to show lots of images, and images do increase your page size. So you've got to find a compromise. You know, it's all well and good to say, well, I'll just have less images, more text, so the page loads super fast. Well, okay, that's great, the page will load super fast, but from a user experience point of view, it's pretty boring. You're a photographer, you want to wow people with your images, and so you need to display good images, you need to display them well, and you want to impress people, but at the same time, you want to keep your page size down and increase your page load times. I typically find that for the images that are going to go full width, I set them to 2048 on the longest side, on the width in this case, and what I do is I save them at JPEG 7. JPEG 7 typically brings it under 1 meg. So depending on the image, if we come down here, for example, to an image like this, you'll see that there's not a lot of detail and color in there. In this case, it's 300 kilobytes. This one's a little bit more, it's 700 kilobytes. This one here is 500, this one, that's 600. So this one, let's look at, I haven't got many images up here at the moment. So typically you'll see that ideally you want to get it to 700 kilobytes or less. The smallest you can get it, the better, but without compromising image quality. And I find that JPEG 7 at least tends to do that. If you've got misty images with little detail, sometimes when you go down to 7 you get this banding. But so you can increase that then maybe to 8 or 9. So you basically want to do it, upload it, look at it on the screen, and if you see banding, go back, save that image again at a higher quality size. Because then even if it's a misty image with not a lot of detail, you can save it at 9 or 10 and the file size will still be pretty small because there's not a lot of data in these kinds of images. So if we go to Photoshop, I'll just do one now and I'll show you an example. Typically what I do is I have a folder where I'm building my site, and I have in my images a folder called large. Now these are my full size images. So what I will do is let's open the full size image and I show you what I do. So I go to image size, and in this case I go to the width and set that at 2048. So I've got the width set. Now if I'm going to use this in the header, I might want to crop it a bit to make sure that it fits within that header dimension as I showed you earlier. So sometimes it helps if I do a 16 by 9 crop. So if I then crop it in a 16 by 9 ratio, then come to save as, then I save it again. I've got a folder for headers, so then I save it like that, and then as I say, you can get an estimate of how it will be here if you take it down to 7. So it's going to be 280 kilobytes. So that's perfect. That's a nice small size, so that will load pretty fast. So now I can come back and add that to my slideshow. If we edit and add to gallery, and in this case I go to upload files and I'll upload this now. Let's find my new image, double click to upload that. So it's automatically inserted a title and caption because I have that in the file info data embedded within the file. So that's a good thing to do, because then whenever you upload to these places it automatically does that. If not, you want to insert it yourself. And then typically what I do is I highlight, copy, and I copy that into the alt text section. Now the alt text section is the part that the search engines read. Search engines don't see images, they see text. So it's very important to make sure that you fill in the alt text section in all the images that you upload. And where possible, put the important keywords in there. So you can see that my description includes all that. Veliki Vrh mountain, it's a sunset, the castle at Lake Bled, Slovenia. So if anyone's searching for images of Lake Bled, Slovenia, things like that, or full moon, then search engines are going to see that in the alt text and they're going to serve that in the results. Now we add that. Now we can move these in the order that we want them to show. So let's do that for now. Now let's insert that. Now we can see, but still it doesn't really show it because the moon is now cut off. So it's not really an ideal image for that. But what I could do then, if I want to show that, let's go back to the background type. Let's close that. Now top center is showing that, but it's still cutting off the castle. So even if I center it, it's not really an ideal image for this, unless if I really wanted to have this image, then again we can come back here to the layout and I can increase the height. Say for example, let's increase it to 600, and then I can align it to the top center in this case. Make it a bit bigger, like this. Now it fits. So you can play around with it, whatever you want to do. But these are the options that you have available to you. I prefer to keep mine at 500, so this is not an image that I would use. So I might come back and say I would look at an image like this, and I will do the same. 2048 and save as, headers, take that down to 7, good file size. Come back here again. upload, copy that into the alt text, or customize it if necessary. Maybe as the site progresses I might use that in different pages, and I may customize that text according to the keywords I want to use on that page. Center, center. Now that's a really nice header. Once that's done, click Update to save, or Save Draft if you haven't published the page. And that's the header. Now if I wanted this format, I can leave it just like this if I want, or if you want to add some text into it, then you can drag a text editor or a header. Typically something like this is going to be a header. So if you use a header widget, it gives you the option to set the HTML tag. So if here you want the main page title, you want to make it a H1 tag, then you can type in the title of your page, Ian Middleton Photography, and align it in the center in this case. Then come over here, set the size and the weight if you want to. Default, again, as I showed you in site settings, I showed you earlier, you can set the defaults for these and apply those defaults across, or customize them individually if that's what you want. I typically make a header like this all uppercase and leave the rest. Then text color, so you want to make it nice and bright so it stands out on the image like this. And you can set some blend modes. You can add a text stroke to it, so for example we can do that if you want to. Typically looks ugly though, I invariably don't do that. Set that back to default. Again, same thing, you can add a bit of shadow to it if you want, so you can play around with things like that. These are just options for you. And if you want to put a background on this, then again come to the column here, style, background type. Now again you can insert an image in that, but you don't want to do that here. Here you can set, say for example you want to set a black background like this, like that, then you can see that's set like that. If you want to then come back to the section, to the layout, if you adjust the width, that adjusts the column width inside. So you see now how I'm adjusting that. It's not affecting the image, but it is affecting the box where my widget is. So you can do that typically. So you can say set like that, then it keeps it nice and centralized like that. Again, come back to the section here, and you also get the option of an overlay as well. And with the overlay you can set the opacity. So rather than setting the background color, if you go here, if you just click clear, it clears that. You can go to a background overlay. You can then, like this, choose that color for example, and then you can choose the opacity. So you can make it 100%, or you can make it a little bit opaque like this, so you can still see through the image. So you've got options to set a border, typography, all sorts of other things like that. So again, as I say, we won't go into everything, but these are, you just come in and have a play around and see what works for you. If you don't want this, you can just simply delete that like that and just leave the image blank. If you don't want the text to be on overlay, then you want it to be underneath. So then once that's done, just come here, click this box again and click that to set another section underneath. And then here you can do the same thing. So let's make a background. So you can then choose your background color. I would typically make it the same as the header. So if we saw earlier, I set these global colors. So I would just make it the same, background 1, and then insert my header here, and then put my page title. Ian Middleton Photography. Again, make it white. Make the typography. The default, again, the font is set to default, but if you want to override that, you can choose a different font. We'll transform it to uppercase. We'll adjust the size to this, for example, and we'll leave the way it is. Again, come back to contact, we'll centralize it, and I'll make that one a H tag because that's my main page title. You only want one H1 tag on your page, no more than one, and then the rest should be H2, H3, however the hierarchy is. So here you go. I can add this here, and now I've got my opening page set. Again, remember to update or save the page as a draft as you work, so you save your changes. You can also, again, just like we did above, you can set the height. We don't want to fit the screen, so in this case, you might want to set a height on this to make sure that it's the same. If you're going to use this throughout all of your pages, then you can set the minimum height like this, so no matter what happens, it will always be a minimum 100. Or you can get rid of that, come to advanced here, advanced, and you can set the margins or the padding. Now if you set a margin, for example, you'll see that it basically, this is where the section will start, so it ends up with a bit of a white section here. The padding will pad out the section itself, so if we add 10 there, you can see that it's now padded out the section, so you can do it that way as well. If you want to have this format on every page within your site, so this header type and this title bar underneath, what you can do is go up, once you've finished it, go up, right click here and save as template. Then if you say, let's say page header, save that, and you'll see it here, page header. Same here, right click, save, so we can say page header under section, for example, and if we save that, again that's saved. I've got two because I've already saved one before. Then let's say, for example, we'll start again with this page, let's get rid of it. Then what you can do is come here, add template. Now these are the Elementor templates, so if you click this, it opens, you've got this option I showed you before, you've got Elementor template pages, Elementor blocks, or my templates. And my templates are the ones that you've saved yourself. So you just simply come in here to my templates, come down here, find the page header. So this is the one I've just saved. You can see the date that it was saved. Click insert. Now apply the settings of this section. If this is only really useful if you're saving a whole page as a template, then you can apply the settings of that page too. Otherwise, if you're just inserting a section, you don't want to do that because it may mess up your page settings. So I typically say don't apply. And again, underneath, go to my templates, page section, under page header under section, don't apply. Now each time I edit a new page, I can insert these as my starting point, and then I just come in here and I change the picture, come in here and I just change the text. So it's that simple. So I think that's about enough for this video, so it doesn't go on too long. And in the next part, we'll look at the building up the rest of the page, and we'll start looking at all the other widgets that we can use to build up our page. So thanks for watching, and hope you've enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and check out my other videos. And please give this video a like if you found it useful, and catch you later. Bye bye.